God afton, Dreamhack. Good evening, Dreamhack. We have a special treat for you this evening. Det här är Viktor Lejonhuvud, jag heter Christer Engström. Vi har programmet Gameplay, det enda levande spelprogrammet i Sverige just nu. Vi har en överraskning. Ja, det är inte någon överraskning, kanske känner till det. Hur många här inne känner till spelbolaget Blizzard? Let me hear you! Direct link from California. Så har vi spelutvecklarna. De som sitter och gör just nu in this very moment. Starcraft 2! Give it some noise, Dreamhack! Greetings, gentlemen.
Dustin, you come from a background of designing lots of RTS games, but mainly for competitor EA/LA, former Westwood. You've worked on games such as Red Alert 2, Generals, and Battle for Middle-earth. Was it a conscious choice for Blizzard to bring in a guy from the other side of the fence? And in that case, why?
Alright, so I don't think Blizzard was looking for anybody special. They were just looking for somebody who had some experience making games. And so I had some of that experience, and so they gave me the opportunity to work on Starcraft 2, which was an amazing opportunity. And I took it, of course. And I think really, I didn't have a lot of experience in terms of making craft games. And when I came here, I spent the first 2 years just sort of relearning everything that I thought I knew about real-time strategy games, relearning that to work on this game. And it's just been an incredible experience so far.
So how have you made use of this experience for Starcraft 2?
You mean my experience in other titles?
Yeah, I mean from earlier games and everything.
In earlier games, I learned some of the very basics, how to take balance feedback, how to work on a campaign, sort of the pits and the ups and downs of game development. But I really didn't learn a whole lot about what happened in StarCraft 2 until I came and worked on this game. So it's been a very great learning experience working on this title.
Okay, this next question is basically both of you can answer this one. You can fight over it. As far as I know, the Warcraft 3 team started working on StarCraft 2 as soon as the Frozen Throne expansion was completed. That makes it 6 years. What is the biggest, most time-consuming improvement you made with the sequel?
I'll start on that one. First of all, go Sweden. Second of all, yeah, I'd say the biggest part of it was we completely redid the graphics engine from the ground up. We didn't start and reuse any technology from Warcraft 3, so it was brand new. We ran into a series of unfortunate events as we got started on the graphics engine. Each time we started rolling on it, we ended up moving to different programmers at that time, and until about 2005, we actually weren't even, hadn't started in earnest even on the graphics engine. So that was one big factor, and that's probably the biggest feature that we added as well, is just a full retake on the engine. One of the complex things about that is the fact that the engine needed to both cater to an RTS game, and then this whole vision that we had for single-player storytelling, and putting it into the story mode space was another sort of graphical hurdle that we had to overcome for the product. And so the combination of those two things made the feature much bigger than just making it for an RTS.
So speaking about the campaign, you've mentioned before that the vision for StarCraft 2's story grew so much, it expanded into 3, not only campaigns, I mean games. So tell us a bit more about these 3 campaigns.
Sure, so that was really a creative decision that we made, having looked at the Terran campaign. And we were looking at this just massive game that we really wanted to build. We were looking initially at maybe 10 to 12 missions to tell the entire story of James Raynor, and it just wasn't enough. And so that started growing and got bigger and bigger. We got 15 missions, 20 missions finally, and pretty soon we got to the point where we had so many missions that we wanted for this storyline that there was no way we could really squeeze it into a single title. At the same time, we had this huge epic storyline planned for Kerrigan as well. So it really started to make sense to us. We started working on the game, sort of figuring out, you know, all of the story, all of the characters, all of the background we wanted to get into it, that we really needed just more time and more space to get this game in front of the fans. We decided it had to go sort of into 3 separate games. At the same time, with this whole new story mode space that Chris was talking about, we have all these new mechanics that go on that never were in our games before. So you have the ability in, you know, the Terran campaign to purchase new technologies, to choose which jobs you want to take as a mercenary, you know, as you battle your way across the stars. Now, obviously, for the Zerg and the Protoss campaigns, they're less interested in funds, right? The Protoss aren't worried about money, certainly Kerrigan is not. And so we need more time as well to sort of develop the new mechanics that are going to happen for each of these 3 races.
All right, you're almost answering my next question, which is, you're making an RTS game, mostly loved for well-designed play mechanics and polished, balanced multiplayer. So why are you investing so much effort into the campaigns? Are they more like training for multiplayer? Or are they more heavy on the story and cinematic, that they feel completely different as experiences altogether?
So I'll take the first stab at that. So as far as single player, we don't view single player as a training ground necessarily for what you'll do in multiplayer. And in fact, if you were to just, even in all our previous games, have played through the single player campaign, and then you go up and play on Battle.net for the first time, you'll find that you're woefully unprepared for the opponents that you'll meet up there. So we don't view it as a training ground as much as a way to tell the incredible stories for the IP, you know, for our worlds, for the Starcraft world, for the Warcraft franchise. So, and what we've seen is that traditionally you don't necessarily have, you know, there's a large number of people that never even log in and play online and play the multiplayer game to the extent that, you know, a lot of the hardcore multiplayer players do, and those people are really interested and compelled by the single player story. So we think it's, you know, equally important to have a very strong and compelling single player side, and that's why we are throwing so much effort into it.
Are you worried that people won't feel compelled playing the common single player portions for Protoss and Zerg after spending months or maybe even years in multiplayer?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, one of the things we're doing with the Terran experience in particular is there's a lot of technologies that exist in the campaign that don't exist in the multiplayer experience. And of course, the missions are not just skirmish battles. We have some very unique missions that make these a lot of fun to play. We've got holding off hordes of infested colonists. We've got missions where walls of fire are burning away across the map, and you've got to sort of survive and beat the mission before you're consumed by the supernova from a nearby star. We've got all of these missions have very interesting mechanics and very strong storybooks. And in addition, there's a lot of new technology that's going to exist only in the single-player experience, stuff that would simply not be balanced for multiplayer. So we think that, you know, players will get a lot out of the story mode experience independent of the multiplayer. And I think when you come to the Zerg campaign and a Protoss campaign after that, you're going to see a lot of new stuff that will really make it kind of interesting for you, even though you've played some of these units for many, many years.
The multiplayer component of the game will be fully featured from the beginning with the first chapter. But will you introduce new units and content with the following chapters, somewhat like multiplayer expansions?
Well, we haven't decided for sure exactly what the feature set is yet. We haven't even finished this game, so we haven't gotten to the point where we're really talking about the next 2 that much. But I think you can expect us to take a look at whatever is going on out there, whatever the fans are enjoying, and doing whatever we can to make the product better.
Yeah, I mean, at a minimum, we know that we're going to enhance across the board for all 3 races in some manner. What it is specifically, we're still talking about.
Right on.
So, you know, I was completely addicted to the Warcraft 3 multiplayer for years. Do you recognize this, by the way? And before that, same deal with Starcraft. But I must say, I will miss the hero aspect of Warcraft 3 in Starcraft 2. The leveling up and unique abilities really upped Warcraft 3. So, in which ways do you compensate for this in Starcraft 2?
Well, I'll take the first stab at that. I mean, it was from the get-go that we wanted to really, you know, define the 2 different games and worlds. And Warcraft 3, the hero genre and the hero system was put into place to be sort of this unique thing in the Warcraft universe. And we consciously went away from that and wanted to go back to the big battles, fodder units of the original Starcraft game and really capture that. We think there's a ton of merit there in playing games now. I mean, we've we put it in front of the public a lot. We're playing it internally as we drive forward towards beta, and it's a ton of fun. And at least from my perspective, I love War 3. I love the hero aspect, but I love that that's not there in StarCraft and that there is a difference between them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, one of the things in StarCraft that's so different, right, is that there's battles happening all across the battlefield simultaneously all at once. And what the hero really does, which is great for Warcraft 3, is it focuses you down on sort of a single point of accountability, which is really a lot of fun, but at the same time, this is a different kind of experience now where you gotta be watching all over the place. There'll be a Reaper raid happening over here, while lurkers are being dropped over there, and there's a Nidustorm attack coming in the back of your base, and you're just moving around all over the place, so it's very, very frantic, very, very frenetic style gameplay.
Alright, so speaking about the soundtrack, I must say that even though I loved Warcraft 3, the music in that game was kind of a disappointment for me. It wasn't very melodious and very synth-like. It feels like Blizzard just recently realized just how important the authentic quality of the music is. I mean, Diablo 3 will have a fully orchestrated soundtrack, and World of Warcraft has more and more of that. So, will StarCraft have a fully orchestrated, or at least instrumental, soundtrack?
Yeah, actually, 2 comments on that. I love the music in Warcraft 3. We actually did consciously go away from sort of a theme-based music in Warcraft 3 so that it was a little bit more in the background and was more atmospheric. That was on purpose. As far as the actual recording and orchestra, we did a lot of actual orchestral recording for certainly the cinematics and other aspects of Warcraft 3. And in fact, while we're here today doing this interview, we have our music director is actually off right now recording with full orchestra for StarCraft 2. So yeah, certainly we're aware of that. We love the grand orchestral scores, and we're in the midst of recording that stuff right now.
That's really good news, I must say.
Yeah. All right. Hey, gentlemen, something tells me that you're going to announce the beta to be open as today. If not, honestly, if not, isn't it about time?
Wow. No, we're not making an announcement about the beta today. But what I can tell you is that we're working really hard on it right now, and we're getting very, very close. We don't have an announcement right now, but we're not years away at this point. And we're not even quarters away at this point.
So very soon.
Very soon.
All right. I'm going to make a little reality check here and see what's going on. Is anybody here interested in playing the Starcraft 2 beta? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Chris, you're working on Starcraft 2 in a top position, and you're obviously a very talented man. But you're also a man of many trades. You are the member and guitarist of the world-famous band Level 80 Elite Tauren Chieftains. Any other Warcraft players in here? Tell me something. I've heard you live in Chatra City, man, together with the band. How is life as a virtual rock star, and is it hard to combine the two worlds?
Wow. It's not, no, because honestly, it never really comes up. The only time it comes up is for events like BlizzCon and Worldwide Invitational, where we were lucky enough to play there, and we had great response. It was a lot of fun, but honestly, it hasn't affected my daily life too much.
So there are no night elves waiting outside your door, wanting an autograph signed or something?
Occasionally does happen. That does occasionally happen.
All right.
Finally, Blizzard always get questions about when their games will be out, and you always respond something like, when it's done. So maybe instead we should ask, when will the game not be out? Not next year, right?
Wow. You're asking the tough questions today. So here's the deal. We're saying that we're targeting to release the game this year. However, we're not going to ship the game until it's ready. So we're doing our best, and we're working long hours already trying to get this game done, get the beta out, get it into everybody's hands. But the reality is, if it's not ready, then it's not ready, and we're not going to let it go. But we're trying our best.
And when you've got the beta coming up at this point, you know, it's really at this point, it's going to be, in many ways, it's going to be up to you guys, the fans, to tell us when we're ready. So when that beta goes out there, if it's quality and everyone loves it, then we'll be more likely to make that. And if it needs work, then it needs work, and that's what we'll do to get it done.
Okay, thank you, Chris and Dustin, live from Blizzard's headquarters in California, working on Starcraft 2. Dreamhack, give it some noise!
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, och vi måste njuta nu av de sista timmarna av Dreamhack, eller hur? Det börjar ta slut. Inte bra. Kör järnet, få höra Dreamhack. Hallå! Hallå! Glöm inte bort att kolla gameplay på press to play